Have you ever noticed that the angriest reaction from a toxic person doesn't come when you argue with them? It comes when you say nothing at all. You'd expect the opposite. You'd expect that silence calms a conflict down, that withholding a response would be the gentlest, least provocative thing you could do. And yet, again and again, people report the same strange pattern. The moment they stop reacting, the other person's behavior gets worse, not better. That's not a coincidence, and it's not bad luck. Carl Jung spent his life studying what he called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we refuse to look at, the traits we've buried so deep we no longer recognize them as our own. And manipulative people, more than most, carry an oversized shadow. They need someone else to react to, because as long as someone else is reacting, they don't have to face what's sitting quietly inside them. 1. Why your silence feels like a threat to them. A toxic person's entire strategy, whether they're conscious of it or not, depends on your emotional response. Anger gives them a target to blame. Tears give them proof of their power. Defensiveness gives them material to twist into a new argument. Every reaction, even a negative one, is fuel for the dynamic they've built their identity around. Silence gives them none of that. It offers nothing to push against, nothing to distort, nothing to use as evidence that you're the unreasonable one. And nothing, it turns out, is the one thing a manipulator has never learned how to manipulate. 2. The trap of explaining yourself. Most people instinctively believe that the way to deal with a toxic person is to explain, justify, or prove their point clearly enough that the other person finally understands. It feels logical. Surely, if you just say it the right way, they'll see reason. But explanation in this context is fuel, not resolution. The more you explain, the more angles you hand them to twist your words, the more openings you create for the conversation to spiral into something unrecognizable from where it started. Jung would say you're feeding their shadow with your own light, illuminating yourself while they remain comfortably hidden. 3. What silence actually communicates. It's important to understand that this kind of silence isn't coldness, and it isn't revenge dressed up as restraint. It communicates something much more specific. I see what you're doing, and I'm choosing not to participate in it. That single, unspoken message, calm, steady, impossible to argue with, is often more devastating to a manipulator's ego than any argument could ever be, because there's nothing left for them to fight. 4. The gray rock method. Psychologists describe a technique where you deliberately become as uninteresting and unreactive as a rock sitting in a field. Flat tone, minimal answers, no emotional opening for the other person to grab onto. It sounds almost too simple, even passive, but it's actually one of the most active forms of self-protection there is, because it quietly removes the one resource the toxic person has been hunting for all along: your energy, your attention, your emotional involvement in their chaos. 5. Why this works even on people who seem completely unbothered. Some toxic people will mock your silence outright. They'll call you cold, accuse you of playing games, tell you that ignoring them is somehow more manipulative than whatever they just did. Pay close attention to that reaction, because it's information. If your silence truly had no effect, they wouldn't need to comment on it at all. The fact that they're naming it, criticizing it, trying to provoke a response to it, tells you the silence is working exactly as it should. 6. The line between healthy silence and avoidance. Jung never taught people to disappear from their own lives, to suppress every emotion, or to pretend nothing affects them. That's not strength. That's a different kind of wound. Healthy silence is selective. You choose, consciously, not to hand your reactions to someone who has shown you they'll misuse them. Avoidance, by contrast, is total. It's a refusal to feel anything at all, even with people who deserve your honesty. Knowing the difference matters because one protects you and the other quietly isolates you. 6.5. What this looks like with people you can't simply walk away from. A coworker, a family member you still see at holidays, a co-parent you're tied to indefinitely. In those cases, gray rock doesn't mean disappearing from the relationship entirely. It means narrowing what you share, keeping exchanges brief and factual, and letting go of the goal of being understood by someone who has shown you repeatedly that understanding isn't what they're actually after. You can be polite, even warm in tone, while still giving almost nothing for them to use. 7. how to actually practice this without losing yourself. Start small. Notice the moment you feel the urge to defend, explain, or correct someone who has shown you repeatedly that good faith isn't part of the conversation. Pause before responding. Ask yourself whether this is a person who has earned your explanation or one who simply wants a new performance to react to. You don't owe everyone access to your inner world, especially not people who've shown you they'll use it against you. The final lesson. The most powerful thing you can take from someone who thrives on your reactions is the reaction itself. Not because you don't feel anything, you might feel a great deal, but because you've decided deliberately that your feelings are not theirs to use as a weapon against you. The next time someone tries to provoke you into the familiar performance they've come to expect, remember this. Your calm is not weakness, and it's not surrender. It's the one language they were never taught how to manipulate, and the one response that finally puts the conversation back in your hands instead of theirs.